Up Taiwan? I'm Brossard with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's representative to APEC has met U.S. President Joe Biden during a dialogue with world leaders, marking a rare interaction between a Taiwanese official and a sitting U.S. president. Harel Hughes reports from Peru.
U.S. President Joe Biden has had a, quote, lively conversation with Taiwan's representative Lin Xinyi at the APEC Leaders Summit here in Peru, according to Taiwan's foreign ministry. Photographed shaking hands during informal dialogue on Friday afternoon, Lin reportedly spoke with Biden about Taiwan-U.S. ties and thanked the U.S. president for promoting relations between the two countries during his term, even inviting Biden to visit Taiwan in the future. It's an invitation Biden is unlikely to accept as his government tries to steady ties with China. Beijing protests any official interactions with Taiwan as it seeks to isolate Taipei diplomatically. Former U.S. presidents have visited Taiwan before. Jimmy Carter, the president who shifted recognition from Taiwan to China in '79, visited in 1999. And Bill Clinton visited in 2005. While brief, Biden and Lin's meeting is significant, marking a rare exchange between Taiwan and a sitting U.S. president. Scott Wong, Reese Ayers, and Harel Hughes in Lima, Peru for TaiwanPlus.
And world leaders have been echoing a key message throughout this year's Asia-Pacific Economic Forum. They say change is coming and the world's economies need to be ready. Reese Ayers reports from Peru.
A warm welcome in Lima, Peru, as world leaders gather for the annual Asia-Pacific Economic Forum, bringing together some of the most powerful economies in the world. But one theme has rung clear throughout the summit, as world leaders anticipate major changes in relations moving forward.
We've now reached a moment of significant political change, and this is likely to be my last trilateral meeting with this important group. But I'm proud to have helped be one of the parts of building this partnership.
The 21 member states of APEC account for nearly 40% of the global population and over 60% of the world's GDP. This is its first global summit since Donald Trump's sweeping victory in the US election. He has pledged sharp policy shifts from climate change to trade, prompting responses from world leaders at the forum.
Little secret, there is no American administration that is automatically easy for a Canadian government. They take a very robust look at their own interests, and Canada adjusts.
Facing steep tariffs from the incoming Trump administration, Chinese President Xi Jinping released a written statement warning about the effects on the global economy, read out by the country's commerce minister.
世界进入了新的动荡变革期，单边主义、保护主义蔓延，世界经济碎片化加剧，经济全球化遭遇逆流，面临逆水行舟、不进则退的严峻考验。亚太经济何去何从，需要我们做出抉择。
There's an air of uncertainty hanging over the conversations here at the summit as policies change after a record-breaking year for elections, which saw incumbents defeated around the world. And as Joe Biden and Xi Jinping prepare to meet on the final day of the summit, there's much anticipation about how the world's two biggest economies will navigate this changing landscape moving forwards. Scott Huang, Harel Hughes, and Reese Ayers in Lima, Peru for TaiwanPlus.
Chip-making giant TSMC is to get $6.6 billion in subsidies from the U.S. government to help build its Arizona plant project. The first of the Taiwanese firm's 3 planned plants in Arizona could be operational early next year. The U.S. also plans loans of up to $5 billion to boost the project, which aims to bring cutting-edge semiconductor production back to the country. The decision comes before President-elect Donald Trump takes office in January. Trump has previously criticized the policy to subsidize foreign chip makers in the U.S., describing it as so bad. The son of jailed Chinese official Xilai has arrived in Taiwan. Reports say Guagua plans to marry a Taiwanese woman. However, the government says it hasn't received any of the paperwork Bo would need to marry as a Chinese citizen in Taiwan. John Van Trieste reports.
According to this nurse, a Taiwanese clinic has just had a very unique patient visit for a health checkup. Bo Guagua is the son of Bo Xilai and Gu Kailai, the Chinese power couple whose downfall made global headlines just over a decade ago. Both are now serving life sentences. The elder Bo, once a senior Communist Party figure, for corruption, and Gu Kailai for the murder of a British businessman. For Bo Guagua, who was studying abroad at the time, the scandal was the start of a life in exile, a life that's now brought him to Taiwan. Though there's no confirmation, reports suggest he's come to marry a Taiwanese woman, the daughter of a prominent Yilan County family. It's something that could explain the health checkup, a requirement in Taiwan for people seeking to stay longer term. What is known is that despite holding a British passport, Bo has come to Taiwan as a Chinese citizen, something that requires special permission due to China's claims over Taiwan. If he is here to get married, the question becomes which nationality he'll exercise on the paperwork. Chinese citizens need special permission to do that too. So far, the body that grants such permission, the Straits Exchange Foundation, says it hasn't gotten any application from Bo, and they say his celebrity status won't matter if they do.
目前又还没有收到任何申请。那我刚才提过，我们都按照我们的法律，不会有特殊的待遇，那就是公平的对待，每个人都有。
The foundation also says it won't interfere in Bo's case either, should he choose to apply for marriage as a Chinese citizen.
那我们基本上台湾是一个法治的社会，就也是个自由开放的社会。我们对人的尊重，其实基本上是台湾存在的一个重要价值。所以我刚才表达说，政府基本上不会介入到任何个人的这个情感选择。
Meanwhile, for national security bodies, Bo's background is attracting notice. The National Security Bureau says it has no comment. But just over a decade after the elder Bo's fall from power, the family story could be getting a new chapter, written in Taiwan. Dolphine Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
China has freed a Taiwanese boat and captain it seized for illegal fishing in July. Now that's after months of negotiations led by a mix of current and former officials and a private association that organizes exchanges with China. The boat arrived back in Taiwan's Penghu Islands early Saturday. China released the captain and the boat, called the Dajinman 88, after a fine of around $29,000 was paid off. China released the vessel's 4 other crew members back in August. People have gathered at a Taipei park to advocate for the rights of children in Taiwan, especially emphasizing the importance of bodily autonomy. Cadence Quanta reports.
Here at this Taipei park, parents, kids, and human rights groups have gathered to discuss how to best support and protect the rights of Taiwan's children ahead of World Children's Day.
把洋葱种下去.
This year's theme is Me Too, referring to the global social movement against sexual abuse and harassment. And participants here are emphasizing the importance of a child's right to bodily autonomy. The event comes during a year when Taiwan has been rattled by multiple high-profile child abuse cases, including a Taipei preschool teacher who sexually abused at least 6 different children. People here say that part of reducing sexual abuse cases in Taiwan is teaching children that they deserve respect.
我就会告诉每个家长，就是说，其实我们在要抱每个孩子跟要摸每个孩子的时候，我们都会问他，就是说，我可以抱你吗？那他从小就是这么的被尊重，然后这么被呵护他的权利的时候，到大的时候，他其实面对这样子就是 Me Too 的事情有可能发生的时候，他其实是会非常有意识，这个是不需要他来面对跟他来承受的，嘿，这个是别人的问题，所以他更有力量可以就是面对跟处理这样子相关的事。
They also say it's important for parents to create a supportive environment so that if kids do encounter abuse or other issues, they feel comfortable talking about it.
必须也是大人要创造这个环境，让他愿意讲，然后他可以讲，他的不舒服必须要被看见，然后我们大人也必须要重视。
This child, who is one of the MCs for this event, knows his rights are important.
我也是小孩，当小孩要有可以自己决定，你不能逼他去做他不想做的事情。
Throughout the day, there will be talks on gender equality and forced labor. Booths have been set up around this park, each representing a different right, like the right to privacy. Everyone gathered here to learn about and advocate for the rights of Taiwan's children. John Su and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
Small-scale farmers around the world are facing the harsh impacts of climate change. And as world leaders come together for COP29, the UN's annual climate summit, the topic of climate finance is promising relief to small, vulnerable farmers. Jeremy Olivier reports.
Food security is on the line at the UN climate conference this year. Small-scale farmers around the world are facing the threat of a rapidly changing climate. In Kyrgyzstan, livestock farming has been a traditional way of life for generations. Close to 8 million cattle, goats, and sheep roam the country, outnumbering the human population. This year, farmers are worried about the impact of climate change on their herds. They find that the weather, which followed known patterns for generations, is becoming harder to predict. That's making it tough to raise their animals.
Кичинекей кезимде климаттар башкача болчу да, күн жылуу, мезгил менен болчу да, мезгилдер жайында жайдай, кышында кыштай болуп өтчү. Азыркы учурда болсо климаттар бат эле кургакчылык болуп кетет, күн тийип.
World leaders are gathering at COP29, the UN's annual climate conference hosted this year in Azerbaijan. Financing for climate adaptation is high up on the agenda. New financial targets need to be set to help countries adapt to climate change.
At COP29, the new collective quantitative goal is under discussion. This is essentially a negotiation on how much money richer countries should contribute to support developing countries deal with climate change.
Organizations like the International Fund for Agricultural Development are calling on countries to prioritize the needs of small-scale farmers. Small farms produce 35% of the world's food, but receive less than 1% of climate finance.
The world's 500 million small farms are the backbone of our global food systems. They are the ones that are bearing the brunt of climate change. They are the most vulnerable and the least prepared. Investing in them is a prerequisite if we want to keep global food security and stability.
Many countries in the developing world are the ones most impacted by climate change. Climate funds, like those received by Laotian rice grower Xilai, can be invested to boost production.
ได้หลายกว่าปกติคือตัวอย่างพันธุ์มาฮิตาหนึ่งเขาจะได้ประมาณ2ต้นปลายเดี๋ยวนี้ก็หลังจากเขาได้น้ำนี่มีน้ำใส่สะดวกสบายก็ต้นหนึ่งต่ำสุดก็ได้ 4.5
Farmers in Laos and Kyrgyzstan are some of the many facing the harsh reality climate change brings. As COP29 approaches the end of its first week, countries are waiting on leaders to come together to finance a more food-secure world. Kama Xu, Jeffrey Chen, and Jeremy